The thing that's really cool is what we've found so far is that all of the best practices for search engine optimization, web accessibility, and user experience all feed into optimizing information retrieval by these LLMs and AI
Hmm.
search for better terms. Um, you know, LLMs rely heavily on context, as do humans that are on your site searching for information. So while a typical user experience might be, I go to my university's site, I'm trying to find out what's for lunch or what the rules are around a particular policy, and you ask your question, you might get a whole list of results, but you have to click on them one at a time, or maybe you have them all open in tabs, and you're going back and forth, and it's sort of arduous, and the burden is really on the user. The AI will kind of retrieve the information a lot like a search engine would. It's looking for that context. So if you're using keywords and headings and metadata properly, that in turn helps the AI do its job.
Hmm.
Only instead of just pulling up that one source, you pull up an entire conversation so that you might have your answer and it's aggregated from three sources that are presented to you in the form of citations. So it's providing that layer of proof of here's where I found those answers for you, but I'm going to summarize it in this particular way and try to, basically save you some cognitive load of going to all of those open tabs and trying to figure out which parts apply to you. And you have lots of ways of approaching how you bring things together, but the better your content, the better the experiences in these chat environments and in these AI LLM environments. um, it's interesting because we've found that, if you have very dense text where you're sort of repeating information, but maybe it's phrased slightly differently, you don't have descriptive headings in place. It's just kind of that notorious wall of text that is we've all encountered. Unfortunately, no shade to my higher ed friends, but you're notorious for it.
Sure.
The LLM struggles just as your users might struggle when engaging with that content. It has something called a context window. It can only hold so much information in its working memory, for lack of better term, at any given time.
Sounds like a
And
person.
like a person. And so if you've just got this messy sort of like maze of description of what someone's actually supposed to be doing, it'll do its best to pull that out, but it might be tripped up and it might completely misinterpret what you're trying to express, just as, maybe even somebody who speaks English as an additional language might
Hmm.
be there and going, I'm not quite sure this means what I think it means. You might run into some of the same situations, and then it's kind of a bummer of an experience. But if you revisit that content and you think about it and really center those best practices and your users and think, what do users need to get from this? What does the business need users to get from engaging with this content? And then you revisit it with those users in mind and those best practices. Like, hey, what if we pulled out all of this repetition and just made this nice, clear, and concise, and we use plain language? We'll put some headings in place to make sure we have this context. It'll be very easy to scan now, and when the AI goes to retrieve that information, it will have a much easier time recognizing the pattern of this matches the user's intent when they put their question into the chat interface. And then if you've improved it, you've also improved it for any users who visit that page.
Hmm.
One of the things, and anybody who works in content, people are, hesitant sometimes to delete. We digitally hoard, and sometimes we use our websites as storage when there are other archival options for that. The AI is going to find all of those outdated the content below, and it will present them to your users. So now, as a content person, I'm very excited about a future where we actually prioritize good practices like auditing and just taking a moment to think about, why do we have this page on our website? Who is it serving? How can we make it better? Do we need to rethink the way we're presenting deadlines or important information so that it's optimized for humans and for machines?
So one of the things that I've heard you mention in the past that I'd like to underscore because you put it so succinctly is how can we use the disruptive nature of AI to finally get around to the care, feeding, and best
Right?
practices related to content that have been neglected for so long? Like here's an opportunity. AI has the ability to reach so deeply into the things that we have sort of brushed aside, either by hiding it in the depths of navigation or in old versions of things. But AI has the ability to really find the crevices of your CMS and to find things that people might not really see. Maybe it doesn't get a lot of page views, but an AI might find it, and it's going to treat it
Oh,
as
it'll find it.
important. Yeah. So we actually because it's so disruptive, this technology, and it's so good at finding that information. We really do have to pay attention to the things that are lurking in the shadows of our CMS and really audit the content that we have out there.